So, welcome back, folks, to another episode of Jamin's Daily. We have a special guest, multiple special guests. We have Daniel Gonzales, attorney at law, with his two beautiful daughters. That's only half of his set. All right, he's got a set. That's only half of them. But my buddy Daniel Gonzales, amazing attorney, but also what would you say, an aerospace aficionado?
Big fan. I'd say a big fan, and lucky enough to live in South Texas to be able to appreciate it firsthand.
So Daniel has been able to attend multiple SpaceX launches. So how many have you actually been to?
Five launches. All five of them. There have been five SpaceX Starship launches, and I was looking at my pictures and the location. So I was able to, the first one was April 2023. So I guess about 18 months ago, a year and a half, probably.
So they've had 5 in 18 months?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it must be. I'd double check, but I think that's right.
And has every launch been a similar rocket that goes up, or have they been different launches?
No, this is the same. This is called the Starship. It's the biggest flying object ever made by man. And it's not, they have a rocket that they launch almost every day, every other day, called the Falcon 9, I think is what it's called. They do a lot of launches out of California, a lot of launches out of Florida, and they send up their Starlink satellites. They have the Falcon, which is it takes up their Starlink satellites, but they also have the Falcon Heavy, which is just a rocket. There's a booster and there's a ship on top, or a fairing on top. So the booster for the Falcon is well tested. It's safe. They've sent up humans to the space station multiple times. So that's a smaller rocket that's been tested and has amazing capabilities and safety record and all that.
And that's the one that they're using now commercially. That is part of their ongoing operations that make money, right? They draw revenue. They're sending things up to space for private companies, but as well as governments all over the world.
Oh yeah, and they have I think a government a contract with the government for defense, for aerospace defense. It's called Star Shield, and so they're doing Department of Defense work, and they're also doing Starlink, which is that satellite network mesh that they're sending out to. I think it was geopolitical issues in Ukraine about him turning on Starlink, and then of course the Starlink issues recently in North Carolina. So they have all that, and so that's commercially available, and they send, I think, upwards of 80% of all payload to space out of everybody in the entire world. So China's, I think, like a distant second place, but they send.
You're right. I heard him recently. One of the summits that he was at, he did give those numbers, and you're right. They do 80. I think China does 14, and then the rest does 6%.
Right.
Like Boeing and some of these other Bezos company or whatever.
Yeah.
Like you said, they dominate.
So this is this is called the Starship, which is the top part of it, and then underneath it is called the Super Heavy Booster, which is this massive booster that is full of propellant and has, I think, 33 Raptor engines underneath that propel the top part of the ship into space. The ship keeps going, and the idea is for the booster to come back, and just like they do with the Falcon, their plan is to reuse it, so they can bring the booster back, fill it back up, and send it back into space.
Have you actually witnessed a booster come down and land, or that happens out at sea, right? Or did it this last one? I thought I saw something on the internet where this last one, it came down and landed in its own where it had taken off, I think, or some kind of capture thing where. Yeah. All right. You tell us.
You want to explain it? Or what we saw? What did we see? A rocket. Yeah. And it came back down. And what's amazing is, so the Falcon booster comes back down and has legs that go down and it lands in on land and they fill it back up and they send it back off into space. Well, this booster is so large that they were like, we can't afford to put legs on it. They'd be too heavy. They would be too, and the booster is so heavy that how, the legs have to be so massive to be able to land it on the ground like they do with the Falcon. So they said, what we're going to do is use the launch tower that has these massive, they call them chopsticks, but basically, swing arms that usually are used to pick up the ship and put it on top of the booster, put the booster in place. Well, they said, well, why don't we use those same arms to catch the booster out of midair, while it's coming down.
If it's heavy enough to lift it, or if it's strong enough to lift it and put it on there, you'd think it would be strong enough for it to then catch it. So that would make some engineering, amateur engineering logic there, right?
Just like that. Just like that.
Just like that. So, hey, you know what I'm interested in, Daniel? I want to know, since you've been to these, is what is the atmosphere like? And at your angle, when you get there, is there dozens and hundreds or even thousands of people at where you have been and watched these? Or has it been less, more of an intimate setting, is not as many people? But again, I'm interested in the atmosphere.
Well, it's been a wild ride, just figuring out the whole logistics of how to do this. But to answer your question, I would say, what do you think? Thousands or hundreds to 1,000, hundreds to 1,000, I would say. You're at the southern tip of Texas. You're about 5 miles from the launch tower across the bay. It's there on South Padre Island. You go to South Padre Island, you go to the very southern tip, and there's a park called Boca Chica Park, and you look across, the bay, and there's the rocket launch or the rocket and everything that happens. And so the first time we did it, we were like, I think we pulled the girls out of school. I was super excited about it. We were gonna miss it, but luckily they had a delay, so they gave us like 2 days extra. So we got down. I was like, we're not missing it. We got lucky.
So you stayed longer? You stayed
No,
longer?
no. Like, I think the day that it was actually going to happen, I was like, we just can't make it. But then they postponed it 2 days, and I was like, no, I was regretting it. I was regretting it. I was like, it doesn't matter what happens. We're going to go down there and check it out. So we were like, we didn't want to miss it. So we had a hotel close by, but they said there was all these rumors about how to get into the park and all this. And so we parked in a line at like 2 a.m. at night and slept in our car to be the first people, one of the first people into the park as soon as it opened at 5 a.m. So
that's dedication, bro. That's some dedication.
The girls slept in the car and we slept in.
And so that was for the first. So that's what you did the first time?
The first time, yeah. That was the first
time. And then you see what I can only imagine to be an amazing, mouth dropping. So when you saw the first time, so explain, when you saw it the first time, it did it compel you? That's why you've been to the other 4, because it's such a.
I guess, yeah, for sure. But also, I think personally, I think it's history being made. I think the world, I think it's world changing. It's humanity changing. But I'd always had an interest in seeing a rocket launch, whether it would be, maybe one day we would go all to California to watch one or Florida to watch one. And then when I heard the news about South Texas being, the place that they're going to have it, I wanted to be part of it. I wanted to be part of it. And then, when you see it there's, I don't know, the first time we saw it, I was like, man, there's maybe a 10, 15, 20% chance that it just explodes, because these are test flights. And so, and Elon and SpaceX, their theory is, basically, go fast and break things, kind of like the Facebook motto is. They just want to send things up and, get the data. The payload is the data, is what they say. That's what they're looking for, so they can make adjustments as things continue on. So we were there, and we took video of it. And the stunning thing was just to see and feel the rumble. You're 5 miles away, but you can feel it. Rumble
and that leads to my next question, was exactly that, to describe what it's like being there as it's going up. And like you said, you can, even though you're 5 miles away, you can feel it I don't know, in your bones. You can feel
How does it feel? Okay.
feel
It feels cool. Yeah, no, and it's the excitement too, because everybody's there, everybody's around you, and pumping their fists and screaming and saying, get up there, and having a lot of enthusiasm about the success of it. But yeah, you can feel it. You see it go up. You see this huge rocket plume and this huge dust cloud and vapor cloud. And then, it's seconds later, it's like lightning and thunder. You see it go, and then, 10 seconds later, you get the full, blowback of the
I guess it takes a
reverberation.
while for the sound. I
Yeah.
would imagine too is when it first takes off, that sound has to be
Yeah.
super loud, intense, and it takes a moment for it to go 5 miles.
Yeah, exactly. And we
There it goes. There it goes. Come on. Look at the fire. Come on. Woo! It's going. God, keep going. Woo! Come on.
Yeah, exactly. And we found out, and I didn't really, you can feel the sound. But one of the launches, I think our third launch or our fourth launch, we got a hotel where we could actually sit on the balcony and watch it. We had a good vantage point, and you could feel the whole, and you couldn't tell us when you're on the beach, but when you're in the building, the whole building starts shaking. Yeah. Show how it does it. This is how it works when it catches it. Goes down and it clamps down and it catches
Her
it. That's right.
that's perfect. When what I saw on the internet was when it was landing, it almost looked as though it was going to catch on the bottom was catching on fire a little bit,
Yeah.
and but it was control. It wasn't some kind of epic failure. So I don't know if that was planned or that's something that they're going to work on. But it did
Yeah.
look at first like, oh man, it caught on fire, and then it landed and it extinguished, and it was all right. But ultimately, huge Elon Musk fan. I envy you. I'm actually going to try to tag along
You
one of
got it.
these days. Me and the fam want to tag along and witness it for us ourselves because, like you said, it is history. Your girls, generation to generation from now, when all these things come true, spacefaring is common. They will actually be able to say, "Hey, I saw some of the very first rockets go up,"
Yeah.
which is
That's
pretty
yeah,
cool.
that's
It's
part of
awesome.
my motive. That's definitely part of my motivation. Aside from, raising a couple of astronauts, is that yeah, I think for sure the way that Elon sees the future and the way that SpaceX sees the future is that and I was telling my wife that it's so cool to be able to be close to it, and we were like, man, we'd love to come down here. But you think about the businesses and the property owners down there when they're actually, because their plan is to launch multiple of these rockets every single day. I mean, because they're at a production rate and they're just for profitability. I was like, yeah, it'd be cool, but then you might get tired of like having these huge sonic booms going off multiple times a day. I was like, yeah, it's cool, but maybe they might get tired of it
You get
eventually.
you have Karens complain about noise pollution when it comes to the weed eater. You're gonna have
Yeah,
these people. Can,
exactly.
can you imagine multiple launches? I think the livestock might have a little bit of a
Yeah.
problem with that. But hey, lastly, finally, do you think we're gonna make a prediction when it comes to space travel and in our lifetime? And some people aren't even willing, like, even if it was the opportunity presented itself. I don't think everyone's gonna want to go. But when the time comes to actually, you can go to Mars, either, however reason, either it's commercials, uh, some type of tourism in sense, or early on when they're colonizing it or doing things, you might have a job in which that can take you there. I mean, they're going to need us. Really, you can just be a cook. You don't have to
Yeah.
be a space engineer to find yourself on the moon because people need to clean and cook. All right. So my question is, are you ready to go? Are you ready to get on one of those spaceships and go to the moon and then go to Mars?
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. It depends on the timeline. It depends on the timeline. You know, if it's when I'm 70, and maybe it's like, nope. What do I have to lose? There's nothing to lose, or 80 or whatever it may be. But I think the first step is is there, and they're always talking about Mars and Mars and Mars. But obviously, the first step is the moon. And the moon is, the Mars travel is at least a 6 month, voyage, apparently. But the moon, you can get there in a day or two, right? I think. And I think they're going to have to set up a moon base. And I think within the next 20 years, for sure, there's going to be probably regular travel back and forth to the moon, I would imagine. And so I think that's probably the first step, and attainable pretty quick, I think.
Is it easy? Is it
And
easier?
not that much of a commitment.
If you built a launch station on the moon so that you wouldn't have to come all the way back to Earth, you could just come back to the moon and then launch from the moon back to Mars. I wonder, is it over time, if you build a space, is it easier to land rockets and shoot rockets off the moon compared, because there's less gravity, right?
Oh yeah, it's 100%. It's 100%, not exactly 100%, but it's way easier to launch from the moon. For sure. So if you get some sort of facility going up there where you're launching from the moon, it'd be way simpler. And they've talked about it. SpaceX has talked about it, that the gravity of Earth is like, if it were 1% stronger, we would never be able to break through the atmosphere. But if it were 1%, less, then it would be a lot easier to get out of the atmosphere. So we're at this, we're obviously lucky for a lot of reasons, the way the Earth, the gravity works.
Sure.
But yeah, apparently getting off the moon and getting off Mars is much less taxing, or requires much less propellant and energy.
Energy, right? That's the key word, the energy. Well, Daniel Gonzales, friend and confidant, attorney at large with his beautiful daughters, say ciao, say until the next time, folks at home.
Before you go, I sent you a video, so I hope you hope either open or close with the video of the catch.
Okay. You have, okay. Yeah. Send me any, I actually would appreciate any B-roll from the launches that you've been to.
Yeah.
I could put that into the,
because when they're catching it, the booster is coming so fast back that you break the sound barrier and you get a sonic boom. But you can see up in the clouds, you can see that burst when the sonic boom happens. But then it just happened to work out this way. They came down, and at the moment that they caught it, you hear the sonic boom.
There it is! Come on! Oh my God! It's coming! No way! Come on! Woo! It's gonna catch it! Come on! No way! Oh my God!
Roll over you.
I see. From where it happened, it took the time.
Yeah.
What is the sound barrier is like 1,000 feet per, like it's a little bit
it's
under,
like 700 miles per hour or something like 700.
Is it?
What were you gonna say? What did you want to say?
The reason why I know is from ammunition, like suppressed ammunition. It has to
Yeah.
be below, I forget what it is, so it doesn't make a loud sound because it's not breaking the sound barrier and stuff. But okay, well, hey, dude, this was easy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm interested to see in the quality in the audio on the recording. So I'm gonna work
Yeah.
on this here tonight.
Yeah,
Send it
well, I'm
out.
telling you, we need to do. 'Cause I was talking about it a little bit today. We need to do a drone warfare topic.
Drone warfare.
Drone
All
warfare.
right.
Talk about it.
Dude, one of the drone things we talked about is they're using wired FPPs and drones that they're wired now, which they can only use in large fields. You
Mhm.
can't use that in an urban setting because they would get caught up. But now,
Well, hey, but you and I need to go. I got a FPV drone. I haven't set it up yet or anything, but we should go.
do you need to learn? I need to learn just so that when it's a super
Yeah, you got to
great
be ready. You got
skill,
to be
you
ready.
have to be ready. All right. Well, we're gonna call it a day. Thanks for joining us, Daniel. Ladies, sweet dreams. Good luck at school tomorrow. And you're joining Jamin's Daily with your host. Jamin, stay tuned because the best is yet to come. Ciao. Good night.
You better.